Hello, howdy. You're watching the second part of a 4-part podcast. If you want to watch from the start of the podcast or skip this part, then please check out the playlist with the entire podcast in the description or info card. Alright, sit back and have a cozy watch.
Okay.
Can we talk?
Okay. That makes sense.
I want to talk about the next part.
I just wanted to really quickly because you guys asked me yesterday if the Japanese text for that screenshot was different.
Because we haven't even explained it. On the Steam version, there's a screenshot of this thing with like text for the song, right? Which shall guide you the way. That's the text for the English version.
Right, and the Japanese one says something a little bit different. It says, it says, sorry, その心に導かれ, which is guide to the heart, specifically guide to the heart. And yesterday you asked me if that was a direct translation, and I don't think so, because you brought up something. What was your question about like I think you said something like you thought that the sentence meant that the soul was guiding.
Yeah, something
Kris,
along that.
right?
That was much what it was meant to imply. Yeah.
Right, but the Japanese line, if that had been the case, the particle in the middle, ni, would have been de. So it would have been その心で導かれ, not その心に導かれ. So I think it's just a different line.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it does matter a little bit.
It does matter, yes.
Yeah, especially since translating songs is always like much harder than translating regular dialogue.
Yes,
and
it's
so you have a rhythm and melody to keep intact.
And it needs to rhyme too.
Yeah, it needs to rhyme too. A lot of factors.
Also Japanese is more staccato than English, meaning you can just say like one word and that counts as a full sentence a lot of the time. and So in the English screenshot, when it's like, which shall guide you the way, comma, I think maybe the Japanese screenshot line is probably the line that goes after the comma in the English version, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it may be like, which shall guide you the way, comma, something to your heart, like that,
Yeah, guide to the heart, yes. Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's all I really have to say about the band minigame, other than Chris's high heels.
There are some high heels.
Are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the next part?
Yes.
Yeah, we can move on. So after that,
we're on to Brown Susie. Brown Susie.
Yeah.
She's brown for some reason.
Holy damn, the colors.
And purple Kris.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So this is a moment from chapter 4. And
yes,
definitely.
Yeah. This is... So, first off, the reason why I think they're an alternate color in this is because of the stained glass. I think that's what is meant to be happening here.
I think I agree with that too. I've heard some people say that. I've heard some people say that, oh, it's a darker dark world, thus they have different colors.
And it's I can see that. Sorry.
But like it's a different hue. It's not darker.
Yeah, the hue is changing, right? Like Susie's eyes are a different color. Yeah.
Not the brightness or contrast or anything.
It's
saturation. It's the hue. It's the hue. Why would that change if it's darker?
Yeah, it's also important to note that if, looking into the sections, that's pretty much going to be like the chapter 4 segment. There are screenshots where their colors are normal.
Yeah, I saw
that.
And then the other thing I want to bring up is that I think that the darker than dark worlds are actually the introduction segments. The weird cliff, those weird cliffs, like the
and
I think the weird cliff, and then also
Yeah,
shore
the
or
dock.
whatever.
I think it was dock.
Yeah,
Yes.
you mean the
Dock.
dogs, yeah.
Yeah, that's a better
Yes.
word.
Yeah. So I think those are the darker than dark worlds, and then the like actual dark worlds that we have our adventures in are just normal dark worlds.
It's set up for the bunker.
Yeah.
But then wait, I'm trying to
Maybe I I don't at this point I don't think they are anymore. I used to think that, but I don't think they are anymore. I think they're just normal dark worlds that are just kind of weird parts of them. But I do think
Mhm.
we're still gonna get a darker than dark world later, and it's gonna be notably weirder.
Okay, no, that makes sense, right? Because in chapter 1, we are going down into Castletown, so it would be counterintuitive if that was a darker than dark world.
Yeah.
I agree. I didn't think about that at first, and now it's making more sense.
Yeah. But I do think that this screenshot with the climbing segment on the broken glass.
Yeah, I didn't notice that it was climbing like until recently when I just watched it
Uh-huh.
earlier.
Yeah.
Susie throws
Um,
Kris like a basketball. I
Yeah,
really
and
love
it's like
that.
it also shatters the glass above as well. And then we see like also glass windows, like yellow
Mhm.
ones,
Kris
on
shattering
top
the
of them
glass
as well.
ceiling.
Yeah,
Yep.
that looks like one on the church.
Yep. So obviously this is the church. So church chapter 4 pretty much confirmed.
Yeah, it's confirmed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
confirmed. Hard confirmed. The
It seems
already
like this
set up for it.
chapter will have a lot of climbing in it, which is all that's really been teased so far. Has been climbing,
we are-
honestly.
And
It's
we
just
are
one
like
Something,
and running. That's really it. I think
Yeah.
there's really
something
much.
is sent. I mean, I'm kind of assuming that this probably the part with Kris and Susie specifically are probably the last parts. You know, because it's a similar section to that was shown in the segment that comes immediately after that. They're just kind of running away and like, and I'm in the same color scheme. So I'm just wondering, this happens in the same moment. So I'm just assuming that
I do
Yeah.
think I agree that
Them
those two are
climbing up-
connected. I
Yeah.
think they're back to back. Like we're doing the climbing thing and then we're doing the running thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However,
I think it's early on.
I agree it was true, but I think these are the intro segments.
It's like a black
Mhm.
void or whatever.
Yeah, which is very
there isn't really too
interesting.
mu-
Can I
not
say
too much going on.
Yeah, what do you
can
So
I
I
say
think it's early
something
on.
about like the environments of Deltarune for a
Yes,
quick bit?
absolutely.
Yeah. So I noticed something like interesting because chapter 1 was not very like picturesque. It was mainly a black void and tiles. Well, chapter 2 was very
Yeah.
different. It was very like beautiful. There were
Yeah.
backgrounds, was picturesque, and that made me think that chapter 2 is just a permanent upgrade, and chapter 3 is gonna be similar. But chapter 4 shows, like both screenshots and the trailer, that it's kind of reverting back, at least chapter 4, to chapter 1's void.
I don't really think so. I think they're just trying to find some footage that doesn't reveal too much or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, I
It
agree.
might just be like
And-
cherry picking the like 2 or 3
Yeah.
moments that are like that in the chapter potentially, because we really only see
Yeah.
like 3 moments from chapter 4.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because the moments in chapter 3 are just also mostly just like black background, even though we've seen it's pretty colorful
Mhm.
from like
I
the
see. Yeah.
Splatoon sweepstakes. Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
I see what you're talking
And
about them.
I see.
You guys,
I say
you
with
guys pointed
blindfolded
out.
eyes.
You guys pointed out that there's a lot of climbing in that trailer, and
Mhm.
the thing is, like, if you go on the Deltarune website, there's like those like floating PNGs of towers that are upside down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
potentially,
Towers.
yeah, but yeah,
Oh.
the Homestuck towers, and there's 2 of them, I think, floating on the like website, right? So, I think because of the tower, we're going to every section of that dark world is going to be like a different floor.
You think the entire
I
dark world is
see.
going to be the tower?
Yes, I think it's going to be a tower that you go up, and every floor is going to have like a completely different, like it's going to have like a different challenge to overcome.
Maybe.
Pizza Tower 2.
I could definitely see the tower being like the final dungeon. Like I could
Yeah,
totally
me
see
too.
that. Or maybe it's like a cathedral
Yeah.
and it has a bunch of spiraling towers in it. I could see that as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, but
Maybe.
generally, I think that definitely these like the towers that appear on the website are gonna show up a lot in the backgrounds of
Yes.
the
If you look
chapter.
at
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
one background for chapter 4 that we were shown with the dragon who grows a beard, those towers that are on the website, those are the background for that image.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But
Wait,
I
what?
think that's because chestnut means the borders for
The borders.
the
Yeah,
image.
yeah. That's what I mean.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're the same image. I think that's because that's the area it's in. So it's probably the cathedral area, right?
The border,
Theoretically,
yeah.
maybe, yeah. Which
Which
I
also
don't know
makes
if we
me
want to talk
think-
about that right now or later because there is a lot to say in the dragon grows a beard image, and it's all
Yeah, we can talk
we
about
should
later.
probably
Talk
talk
about
about
it
that
later.
later.
We can
Okay.
talk about that later.
okay. We'll save that for
I
later.
do. I do want to I guess a quick aside. Chapter 3, I think Toby said, is not necessarily going to push the story forward. But I actually believe that even though Chapter 3 is going to be largely comic relief or a breather episode, so to speak, I think Chapter 4 is going to have a lot of lines that recontextualize the things we learned in Chapter 3. That, like, things that we dismiss as jokes in Chapter 3 are going to come to light in Chapter 4 as like a kind of thing. And I also think Chapter 4 is going to be a tonal shift. Like, I think so. Initially, I thought back when we all thought we were going to get 3 to 5 together, I believed that presuming 7 chapters, Chapter 5 would have to be the shit hits the fan chapter, like the point in the game where we finally turn everything around and we start sort of seeing what the end game is like. But because now we're only getting 3 and 4, I think maybe Chapter 4 is going to have a little bit of that.
Yeah,
we're not going to see like
definitely.
what we're not going to see what end game is, but I think Chapter 4 is going to have like a really like big tonal
Yeah,
shift.
for sure. I mean, Chapter 4 is,
Yeah.
I think we can all agree, going to be the chapter with the most like lore and world building regarding like dark fountains and worlds, right? Like it
Yeah.
makes the most sense for
I
a
think
church.
at least light world lore regarding the light world religion, yes. I think we're
Yeah,
also going to get some major plot developments. We're going to get the, halfway point, major plot point that forwards the story for the second half of it. I think this is going to be
And
where
there's the
Ralsei reveals that Kris is the knight to Susie. I think that's going to happen in Chapter 4.
I don't know if that will happen yet.
It has to happen
I'm
sooner
also
than later.
kind of holding back on thinking that.
I think it has to happen sooner than later because I don't think the knight identity is the big like twist. I think it'll be a setup for a much bigger thing, you know?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, the bigger mystery with the knight, if the knight is Kris, like we all agree, is probably the motivation more so than the identity.
Motivation, which I still think is more than one thing, but like primarily I think it's getting stronger to find deaths is one
To find
major...
find deaths and get
Because I
stronger.
kind of looking at it
I
as
agree.
in sort of like every other chapter sort of thing. So it's like Chapter 1, we didn't get a lot of info on the knight. Chapter 2, we did get a lot of info. We got the revelation that Kris is the knight. Chapter 3, we're not going to get a lot. But then Chapter 4, we are going to get a lot. But then Chapter 5, we're not going to get a lot more news. And then Chapter 6, we will get the final piece of Kris's backstory, essentially, you know?
I mean, listen, I kind of disagree with people saying we're not going to learn much in Chapter 3. Like, we're in the Dreamer house.
Yeah, exactly.
We're
going to learn a lot of like lore and information and stuff. I just don't think it's going to be like moving the plot forward necessarily.
It'll still be character based.
Like, not moving the plot forward.
Based
sure,
on the
but, like,
characters.
it'll definitely... Yeah, like this is the place where our
agree,
knight grew up, and so we're definitely going to like go around and like see text that's just like, huh, that's an interesting piece of text. I wonder what that means for Kris.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna see the How to Draw Dragons book at some point, I'm sure.
That's a dark nerd.
Well, let's not bring up that conversation.
Talking about that.
Do we have much else to say about the climbing segment in the Church Dark World?
I just wanted to say that it looks... No, you continue.
I think Susie should try out for the hometown high basketball team. She has look at her pose. It's straight up like a basketball, like jump shot pose. It just
I just
They're
wanted to
gonna
bring
reuse
up
the
that
sprite.
She's like,
I-
They're
Kobe!
gonna reuse.
As for my thoughts on the matter, something something ascent to heaven, something something.
Yeah, I was about to
So
mention
true.
that. Like the whole climbing motif clearly has something to do with like ascending to heaven, climbing the Tower of Heaven, or whatever, something like that.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring up how I love how Toby's showing more like Susie and Kris teaming up, and once again Susie throwing Kris, which has been like set up before with Wire Wires. I
Yeah.
really hope
Yeah.
that chapter 4 shows a lot of like cooperation between them.
Yeah, their
Yeah.
teamwork is just going to get increasingly better until it becomes like Mario and Luigi levels of like
Yeah.
silliness.
That'd be
Uh,
really cool.
Yeah, and I do think this is also like we said it before, but this is definitely part of the intro area to chapter 4. That's why Ralsei's
Yeah.
not here yet. After
Oh,
we do
yeah.
this whole like
True.
escape sequence, then we'll run into Ralsei. Yeah.
I mean, it's also been confirmed for a while now, pretty much. But Ralsei will show up in the chapter 3 Dark World.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Obviously.
interesting.
Though
How
Chestnut,
does he get there? It's
like
funny.
in chapter 2, he just appeared, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's. I think like. I think like there's only a couple of explanations I can think of as to how Ralsei gets there. One is that since it's the Dreamer household, whatever. Sorry. Let me backtrack a bit. I think since everyone has guessed that Ralsei is the horn band, Kris probably has that on their person at all times. Is one way that Ralsei could be there, and the other, more like I guess theory crafty way, is that the opening segments of the Dark Worlds are somehow interconnected, just like the corridors of darkness in Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
I see. That's
I don't
interesting,
know.
especially with the
They're
idea
like
that they're
Yes,
like darker
yeah.
Dark Worlds.
They're like
the
an
idea that he's
interconnected
taking
highway.
a submarine through the depths, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
It's
quite
silly.
a submarine. Not quite a submarine. Just like taking a walk, a nice stroll through the darkness. You know.
Using the secret tunnel through the depths.
I don't see why that's
Okay, if it's
such a crazy
okay, if
theory to
it's
you.
okay, if it's through the depths or something like that, maybe that's a little bit more acceptable to my little brain. But I don't know. I kind of prefer
You
it
don't
to be
think-
like
I just-
a red headband in Chris's secret inventory or something.
Yeah.
I
This is a bit more general theory stuff that I don't want to talk on
Oh,
yet
we'll t-
anyway.
oh, yeah,
Let's
okay,
just
yeah,
get back
well,
to the
okay,
trailer.
I guess-
We're almost
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
I guess we'll talk
Yeah,
about that
we're getting
later.
too much off topic, honestly.
Yeah.
Right,
I
right.
kind of just accepted. I just kind of accepted the fact that Ralsei is a wizard and moved on with my life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he is.
exactly. I feel the exact same way. I'm like, there's some explanation for this. I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter. I know that he can do it.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how he can do it. He can.
Okay.
That's
So,
all I
Chestnut,
need
I
to
want
say.
to say one more thing. Like
Okay,
when
yeah,
you said
one more
that
thing.
it might be the introduction segment in the
Yep.
the climax, yeah, that
Mm.
might just be us splitting off from Ralsei, like we split off from Susie in chapter 2.
Potentially. It could potentially be that. But the
Maybe.
thing is, the reason why I think it's the intro is because it's in the trailer. Right? And so
Yeah, so
it's
it
like
doesn't show
the
yeah.
much.
best thing to show
that's a
in the
good
trailer
point.
would be like the first 5 minutes, you know?
Mhm.
It would
And
definitely spoil
considering
the
the
least
fact
amount of
that
stuff.
in the first segment there is stained glass, that may contribute to the idea that Zenny had, that is just like one big building, right? So it's not a field area.
Could be. Although I was
Maybe, yeah.
theorizing regarding this specifically, because I do want to talk about this as well. In context of this, I do think the first area has the potential to be like the field of broken glass, and it's stained glass themed, right? If that's the first field area, and then the second
or something-
area could be
Continue.
like the lake of blood, because it's the sick fruit juice, right?
Oh.
So it can be like a river of blood, or like a lake of blood, or like a
That would be
swamp of
cool.
blood, something like that. And then the third area would be like either the final tower or cathedral and stuff.
Or maybe it's gonna be like the third area is gonna be the church crypt. I'm not sure about like how it works worldwide, but where I come from, churches have crypts in their basements.
Yeah,
That may be it.
maybe it could be a crypt. That's one possible way, but I think a tower feels more likely because we keep getting the tower thing teased.
Like a chancel area.
Yeah, or it could be more cathedral shaped.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's
were
all I
some
have to
other-
say about
yeah.
this screenshot, unless anyone else has anything else they want to say on it.
Not
I
anymore.
mean, yeah, there were some
I have nothing.
previous theories for what like the location was going to be for chapter 4, besides church, like Noel's house and Flower King, or whatever.
I think church was like pretty universally agreed upon by like 99% of the community.
Yeah.
Not everyone thought it's
Yeah.
not everyone thought it's chapter 4, but everybody thought it's gonna be church at some point. But most were chapter 4.
Yeah, I kind of moved away briefly for church chapter 4. The anti-Chris Snyder's got to me. With
This
Chris
is why you
being
should never
seen.
listen to anything they ever said.
With Chris being seen. Oh, how can they make the dark world? Chris is going to be seen.
Yeah.
Oh wait, this
dare you
is
listen to
important.
other
This is
people's
important. This is
opinions?
important too. Or wait, I could talk about it in the theories section actually.
If you want to save it for
Let's
later, we
move
can
on.
save it later.
Yeah, make a note.
I'll save
Make
it
a
for
note of
later.
it.
I'm
Like,
making the note.
Making the note right now.
Yeah, let's go to the next section
Yes.
now in the trailer.
Which, I guess the next important thing is the giant 3D Tenna head.
Oh boy, we're gonna talk long about this one.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah,
the
before that,
tenor.
I also wonder if it's just for the trailer, the fact that chapters are color coded. So 1 is purple, 2 is green, 3 is red, and 4 is blue.
Maybe.
I think it's interesting. They actually
the colors for the characters.
The
text. Yeah, chapter 1
Yeah.
is waiting, chapter 2 is waiting. There's only one instance in the game where chapters are color coded. It's in the bestiary, like the enemies menu, right? So the background for chapter 1 enemies is purple, but
I didn't even notice it was color coded. Cool.
Yeah, in the backgrounds for like character sprites, yeah, in that menu.
Yeah.
Though interestingly, chapter 2 here is green, while the background for the bestiary is blue for chapter 2 enemies.
I meant like color for the text in the trailer. I didn't notice that.
Oh, that's what you mean. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
Mhm.
But also the phrase chapter or like insert thing here is waiting.
Oh yeah,
I
wanted to
chapter
talk
2
about
is waiting. Deltarune is waiting.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up, but
We are waiting.
I wasn't sure if it was better to bring that up in the theory discussion. But
I think if you want to bring it up now, we can talk about it now.
Okay.
Yeah, I
so
think we should.
So I was bringing this up earlier that in the Japanese trailer, the opening part of the trailer is translated into Japanese. It says exactly what the English version says. But then the chapter 3 is waiting, chapter 4 is waiting, is written in English in both things. And the specific wording of so and so is waiting tells me that this particular phrasing is going to be plot relevant later on. We don't know who is saying it. We're presuming it's Gaster. We're presuming whoever was the maker. Yes, it's presuming, but we can't say for sure. It's just presuming. And
but also,
but also in the Japanese one, parallel story is written in katakana, which stood out to me because in katakana, it's so in Japanese you have 3 writing systems, right? You have hiragana, katakana, and kanji. And katakana is you usually use it for foreign words or names, right? And it can also be used as italics, kind of. But the fact that they said parareru sutori rather than gaiden, which would be the closest translation, in my opinion, it's like, do you know who else uses katakana every time they talk? Oh, it's our good friend Gaster. That's what stood out to me.
Doesn't he use more kanji?
He uses kanji and katakana, but he does not use hiragana.
Oh. Okay, yeah, that's what it was.
But our good old friend Walter Guzman has come back again.
But I'm not sure what kanji you could possibly use to describe parallel story. But yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to.
What I was gonna say.
Mm-hmm.
How? Okay, if this is Gaster, how is?
I think it's more player based.
Do you think player bait?
Yes, I think the
Do you
wording.
think he's?
Oh, sorry.
Do you think he's like? How is he how is he connected through the trailer? Do you think he's literally connected through the trailer, or do you think it's just there because it's cool?
I think the trailer is trying. I think the trailer is communicating to like the really hardcore fans that this is the voice from the Goner Maker talking to you again. Whereas for casual fans, it wouldn't really register as anything other than it's a cool sentence to put in your trailer. And so I see so and so is waiting, and I think about how like Gaster talks a lot about waiting, doesn't he?
Yeah, Gaster is tied to like teasing Deltarune before,
And the letters
on
are
tweets.
shaking.
Yeah,
And the letters are shaking.
Yeah.
In the is waiting, it's shaking as well.
Wait, it's shaking?
Yeah, if you look at the trailer, it's shaking.
They are.
And-
They are.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
weird.
And again, that could just be for the sake of adding intensity, but
Okay.
it just to me it signals
Yeah.
a continuation of the Gaster marketing bit that Toby does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't believe Gary Man from Half-Life is coming to tell us about his new game project.
Are we gonna talk about the TV head inside the TV?
Oh
yeah,
boy.
we
Yeah.
can touch on the TV head. So,
It's a
this
3D
TV
model.
head, it's a 3D model of like the TV head. Obviously, it's meant to tease Tenna without actually revealing the design. That was made by Everdread, of course. And we actually know that this isn't really what Tenna looks like. I mean, not really. I mean, maybe he's kind of. Sometimes he looks like this. Maybe I don't know, but like,
Yeah, we know he looks like a slug. He
yeah.
looks like a weird slug man.
But we actually do know Tenna's actual design because it was kind of leaked, more or less, like officially.
Which is funny, right? Like, which is funny, right? I feel like does anyone remember that one fan game where it's like Kris versus Tenna, or I guess back then the game calls it Mike.
Mike, yeah.
Yeah, do you
they
mean
call
the
it
one
Mike.
where they're like floating in the
Yes,
fountain?
yes,
Yes.
And that design, I think, probably got close-ish to like how Tenna's head would look with the antenna as eyes, if I remember correctly.
I mean, I think that's a good question. It's just like, are the antenna on Tenna's actual thing, are they going to be like pink and yellow?
I think it's just going to be just probably not, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's also like this motif of like covering your eyes, like
Yeah.
the
only eyes
the main
blinded by
bosses-
darkness can see the way.
Yeah, and the bosses
The
don't
main
have real
bosses.
eyes. So
Yeah.
I think Tenna's
no
antenna
eyes.
won't function as eyes, or at least they won't obviously be functioning as eyes. Like, we won't see like pupils or anything
Yeah,
on them.
me too. Also, do you know of era theory, that the chapter is gonna be split into eras of like television?
I've seen that one, yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool. I'm not sure if it is gonna be in the game. It's not like super convincing, but I think it's very neat that essentially the first area is gonna be Tenna with the like bendy smile. Then the second area is gonna be the Tenna we see on the Stealth Zone borders with the pointy nose and Hanna-Barbera smile. And then the third area is going to be a black and white area, like the 50s television.
I can see that, especially because I think the borders around the I guess we'll talk about the screenshot later, but the borders that revealed Tenna's design, they really look like they're drawn in that sort of 1960s, 70s IPA style.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Where like, it's very outline focused. It looks a lot like it would, like you said, belongs in a Hanna-Barbera cartoon. So maybe that's possible. It's possible.
I think it's really cool. Like either the 3D model of Tenna for the trailer is just a facade, so we don't see his full design, or maybe he goes through like several forms, or he has just appearances to show.
Oh god, it would be
Like I
sick if
said
we had a boss
previously-
battle where he's sorry.
like flipping forms, yeah.
No, where it would be
like flipping
CGI.
channels almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's like flipping forms, like you're flipping channels.
Yeah, exactly,
like,
right.
Yeah. I could see
I
it where
do want to say like I do want to say like like I said before, how the previous sections were like in the chapter 1 is waiting, chapter 2 is waiting. Those are the final boss. So I do think that giant CG Tenna is going to be the final boss phase of it because of the other sections seem to be final boss areas.
Does that
think
mean
this
the
is
dark eyes from
just-
chapter?
I think this is just for the trailer because they don't
Yeah.
want to actually show off Tenna's design in the trailer. But they do
Yeah,
want to
like-
tease Tenna, because that's the one thing we know about Chapter 3 is this.
Chapter 3 and 4 are chapters that we haven't played yet, so they're showing the bosses
Yeah,
for
they
chapter
don't
1 and 2,
wanna
just
Yes,
those two.
yes.
Spoil them. Yeah.
Obviously.
It would
also-
I
be.
mean,
It's
you
also
say
very
that,
funny
but
because
there are also people who haven't played chapter 1 or 2, and they show Mega Queen.
Yeah, but I don't think they care as
Yeah.
much about stuff that you've probably seen before on the internet over the last
Yeah.
3 years.
And also, this is a trailer for Deltarune fans. So we
It's a trailer
played
for
the
people
game.
who want to play video games.
Yeah, I mean, I get your point of for anyone who hasn't played it, it will be spoiled, the chapter 1 and 2 boss. But I feel like they don't care because it's been out. It's like you've had your chance, to go in and not
But
be
also-
spoiled on that, and you didn't
And also,
take
it's a
it.
good thing and it's a good thing to show stuff from your game.
Yeah,
Show what's
like
already there. Show what people have seen.
the trailer can't all be CG, abstract concepts and stuff.
yeah.
Okay,
Also,
yeah, but
Dante, what
do
you
you-
said is pretty funny because it implies that the chapter 4 main villain are the dark eyes.
But okay, so yeah, I'm pretty sure this CG TV head is just for the trailer.
I do
Yeah.
too.
I don't think it's gonna show up like Photoshop Flowey style, because especially it's like Flowey screwing over the entire game, and I don't know if Tenna has that kind of power, and I don't know if it would make sense for him to suddenly have like a battle style like that.
Yeah, like in chapter 3, like as
Yeah.
early, right? Like chapter 6 or 7 would be the ones to break the game's sort of.
It is
pattern.
Chapter
notable, though, that it is kind of like TV Inception sort of thing going on because we're looking at the CGI Tenna
Yeah.
head on a television screen, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And then, so we're looking at a television screen in a television screen on a television screen,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, like just like the actual game, because the light world, the dark world.
Yeah.
In a
Also,
sense, yeah.
interestingly, that the TV that shows Tenna, the border TV, it's the same sprite as Omega Flowey's TV.
Hmm.
Huh?
You
Yeah.
can compare. Yeah, it's very
yeah.
similar.
It's a little. It's very close. I don't know if it's the same. It could be.
You can check the
Nah.
borders are very, very similar. I think it's the same sprite.
It looks.
They were both made by
The screen.
I wouldn't be surprised
Yeah,
if they're meant to be the same,
The screen looks a little. Doesn't look as wide. I
Yeah,
think.
it doesn't matter.
I
Anyway.
will say,
Okay.
as funny as a battle with a CGI TV would be,
Mhm.
it is worth keeping in mind that Game Maker as an engine is actually
Yeah.
not optimized for 3D whatsoever.
Yeah.
And while
Yeah,
you can
that's the
do a
problem.
little
I
bit
will-
of, I've seen
That's the
people make
problem.
Mario 64 work in Game Maker, so it's not impossible. But
But,
I don't see it being practical for the development team.
It would have to
unless it was
work
I mean, I
a
don't
like
think
rendered
it's going to
video.
be. I
Omega
don't.
Flower.
I don't think it's going to be like the whole boss fight. Like Tenna's just going to be a floating head. It'd just be like, oh, I'm gonna be the Tenna, and it's just like I think it's probably just going to be a little cut scene for the final boss or like something, whatever. Just a little snippet or anything.
Maybe,
Yeah,
but I think it's most likely that it was just made for the trailer. And if
Yeah, I
it
think
was
so.
in
Just
game,
like
it would
the
have to
CGI
work
tutorial.
if it was in the game, it'd have to work like
Yeah.
Omega Flowery.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
What about the next
well, there's
part?
only one way to find out, and that's on June 5th.
Yes.
So the
Okay.
next bit is chapter 4 is waiting, the screenshot from that. Kris and Susie running away on broken glass while being chased by angry things.
orbs.
Or black orbs.
I
think
Tentacle things. I don't know.
I think they're supposed to be like dark eyes, maybe, or maybe just like free monsters.
I don't know.
Susie is still brown.
Maybe they're ghosts.
Yeah, I
Brown
think
Susie.
because it's probably
Brown
the same
Susie.
area. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think no. I think these things really remind me of the Eyes of Cthulhu, the demon eyes from Terraria, and the Eye of Cthulhu by proxy.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, I think they're supposed to be. Perhaps they're like maybe orbs of like seeing for the main villain or something like that, or just like free monsters. What gets me
I
too
think
is
they're
that
just free.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're just
Yeah.
free roaming.
perhaps yeah. What also interests me is the fact that they're rising from down. You see, like to like up, like from the
Yeah.
down of the screen. Yeah.
I mean,
I think
I'd
they're added in
probably
post for the trailer.
No,
Oh
they're
my God.
definitely. I think they're definitely part of the real thing. But maybe
Okay.
maybe there are extra ones added in post, maybe, but like
No, I think they're part of the game, and but the reason they look like they're added in post is because they have like this particle physics going on, or it looks
Yeah.
like a particle shader kind of thing.
We'll see. But
Yeah.
but also the platform. The most important thing here is the platform.
Yeah, that
Like the symbol of it.
that was surprisingly controversial.
what-
Not controversial, like surprisingly a hot topic. Right?
Yes.
The
I mean,
yes.
the
image
Kris
in the-
face
in the-
inside.
the
or
Yes,
glass.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
easy to see like a human face on the glass here.
Kris.
I noticed it
face.
right away. A lot of other people did. I think it's definitely like a visual illusion. The only real
Yeah.
question is whether or not it was intentional. I'd say.
I don't
I-
think it's intentional.
Yeah, I personally
Pareidolia
don't think
is
so.
a thing.
I think it
The
could
thing
be.
is,
It could go. It could go
It's
either
not
way.
just the face though. You can totally see like the whole body.
Yeah. Even the arms. Like
Yeah.
the two triangles on the side. I was thinking about that too. And also actually the one in the middle too. It has the same shape as like Chris's armor. So yeah, I do think it's probably intentional.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna be in the group to say like no. I think that because like behind the angel is like a pattern of like a target shape, you know, a smaller circle inside a bigger circle.
There is
And I think
definitely
it just kind of
yeah.
Mhm.
The
And
thing
I think
is,
it's
it's
just
just
a
like
coincidence.
if everybody fucking noticed it instantly right away, there's no
Mm-hmm.
way that like Toby didn't also see it, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Like there's no
And
way
then
Toby
just
looked
decided
at that
to-
and then was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it kind of looks like a face."
Does it look like a rock? No, it looks like a face. Is it a face? It's a rock that looks like a face.
Nobody will read into that, of course. Like I feel like
Nobody.
I think it might have been intentional, maybe. I'm gonna go with it's maybe
Maybe.
intentional. I'm gonna fence it on this.
But you know,
Alright.
if it were intentional, that makes it like really similar, including the triangles and the wings and stuff, to make it look like Azriel's hyper def form, you know,
Yeah. Maybe.
of
I
like
think
his
it
lower
could be
body and
intentional.
arms. Yeah, I personally I don't think so, but yeah, I can see how. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see the face and body.
I definitely
Yeah,
see
you
it.
know-
And I saw it right away.
I mean, I can see it. It's just I have that experience where like post chapter 2, I posted like a screenshot of Kris in chapter 2, and when they turn around in a specific area, the chain link fence in front of them makes it
Yeah, it
look
looks
like
like a
they're
smile.
smiling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
posted that, and I got a bunch of like replies going, "Oh my god, it's Kara! It's blah blah blah."
Yeah.
Oh,
That
So
experience
you were the
makes
original.
me hesitant.
You were the original poster for that because that was
Yes,
like
I
very
was.
widespread.
huh.
That was my
Yeah.
fault.
Damn.
I'm
No,
sorry.
I was
Yeah.
watching.
I didn't.
I was watching my friend play Deltarune Chapter 2, and he also noticed that. Like, he's a very much a casual fan. So, like,
Yeah.
a lot of people noticed. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe I'm not the epicenter. It was just a casual thing. I posted it, and I think I just said, "Hey, this kind of looks like a smile," but I didn't say anything else. And everyone else was like, "Oh my god, this is more relevant. This is blah blah blah." And it could be, but that experience makes me hesitant to believe that the face that we're seeing in the glass is anything meaningful. Like it could be.
I'm going.
It could. You're absolutely right that Toby would probably be seeing the same faces that we're seeing and gave it the green light. That is a very good point.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to be completely real. I barely see a face.
okay, do you see the circle
You see the
that's supposed
mouth.
to? Okay, do you see the
What do you
circle
refer?
that's
I'm. Yeah, like go
Okay.
on.
Okay, are you looking at the glass tile?
I am looking at it right now.
Okay. Do you see the circle that's supposed to represent the angel's head, where the wings like come out of?
Yeah.
Okay. Look at the very top line of the orb that represents their head.
I am looking at it.
Okay, the very top line. Now, look at the negative space in between that top line and then the darker blue shades of the tile, and it looks like a human with like a bowl cut.
Chris's
It looks
face.
like Chris.
Mhm.
Yeah,
looks
it
like
looks
Kris.
like Kris with
Yeah.
the hair covering and the shadow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the hair's covering and the shadow. I don't see them being bold. It's the hair covering. And
I don't-
No, I see.
don't know
No,
if
I
I'm
said
just-
a bowl cut.
I don't know if I'm just blind or anything, but I'm not seeing what you guys are talking about.
That's
How
fair.
high
That's
quality?
fair.
How high
understandable.
quality?
Yeah.
How high
I'm-
quality is it?
You know, Dante, if
I
you
mean,
want,
like,
I can
I've got
hop
it-
on Krita and like edit it to make it seem.
Somebody has an image
We
with
can
an
do that
overlay
in
and
post.
stuff.
I
Okay.
just don't see what you guys are talking about, but like
Okay.
That's fair. It's honestly not that important. It's very overblown.
No.
We'll
Yes.
see if it's important when the chapter
this is
comes
why
out.
I'm saying it's like pareidolia or something. We
It definitely
just
is.
have a habit of seeing
Yeah.
faces and things that don't have faces in it.
Oh yeah, that
It's
too.
absolutely
We see
pareidolia. The debate is whether or not it was intentional pareidolia, whether or
Yeah.
not he intended
And
for you to
considering
see
that
the
I can't
face
see
inside it.
considering that I can't see shit from fuck, it's probably not intentional.
Oh well, to
Maybe.
be fair,
It should be the outlier.
that graphic had to pass through multiple members of the team. The spriter, and then Toby, and then
Yeah.
the person who made the trailer.
Yeah.
You know,
And I've seen lots of people, myself included, like very quickly see the face and make out the Kris body and stuff. So,
Yeah.
I agree. It is 100% like an optical illusion.
Dante, I sent it
just
over
in
so you
that,
can see
like,
better.
If it's
I definitely saw the
intentional.
face immediately. I noticed the
I did too.
body later.
Yeah.
Yeah, here you go, Dante. You can check on general.
Yeah.
I see it. Oh, I see what you're.
Yeah. The thing is, the problem with my perception of it is that initially I was like, that doesn't look like Kris. That looks like Pocky.
Porky from Earthbound. Yeah.
Porky. Yeah, it looks like Porky from not Pocky. Porky from Earthbound. I can talk today. Earthbound.
Did you say the Japanese name first?
No.
Or did you? Oh, okay, you mispronounced it. Okay.
You got it mixed up with the Pockies, the candies. Like, right?
Yeah, because I was just
Yeah.
watching G Gundam, and one of the villains keeps stuff in his mouth with Pocky. Anyway, keep going.
Okay.
Okay, I kind of see what you're focusing on now, and just like, yeah, that's I'm still thinking that's probably not entirely intentional, because like I can see what the whole design is like trying to invoke. Like the darker part of the like arc above is kind of just, I think, just trying to provide dimensionality. I can speak.
Yeah, it adds
Yes.
dimensions to and depth to the image. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm probably, maybe I'm just the outlier for not noticing it, but like I think it's probably not intentional.
Even if it is
Well,
intentional, it's super
yeah.
subtle. You know.
Yeah, it's very subtle, and if we have theories about it, we can talk about
Yeah.
that later.
Likely, we're
like,
only focusing on it because of the fact that it's like a 2-second clip in a trailer that we're gonna like freeze frame and analyze it. If we were looking at this glass in game in real time when we're running
Yeah.
on it at a big high action
Yeah.
set piece,
Mhm.
where it's breaking and falling beneath our feet, no one would
Mhm.
stop and look and be like, "Oh, it kind of looks like it has a face there," like no one would actually do that, So yeah, there's definitely a good
We'll
reason
see.
to believe it's just not intentional at all.
We'll see how the glass and other such like platforms
Yeah.
look when we see the full game.
Yeah,
Doesn't it kind of look like those glass stained steps that Sora like has to like climb whenever he goes into someone's soul?
Kinda,
Just to
yeah. I
bring
see what
back
you mean.
Kingdom Hearts jokes that we keep
Because that's
using.
also very stained glass inspired, and that's clearly what's going on here as well.
Is there anything
Yeah.
else
I
Yes,
want to
there's
talk
actually
about.
a lot more to talk about because
I want to know. I want to know
in
what
this
those like.
part?
yes,
I want to know what those like
I-
fuzzy things are.
Oh boy.
yeah. Well, for me, I've seen people be like, "Oh, Kris, they're in like an action pose with their sword out. Maybe they're chasing
Yeah.
someone. Maybe they're chasing the knight." I've seen people suggest that. I don't
Oh
think
my
that's.
God.
I don't think that's what's happening here. What I think might be happening here is we're getting attacked from behind by the black orb guys. Maybe they're also
Yes.
going to
Yeah,
be coming at us
obviously.
from the front, and this is going to be an actual gameplay sequence, not just a run forward sequence where we have to time Chris's sword slashes to knock out the guys in front of us coming at us from the front.
Oh,
That would be cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I could see that because Susie doesn't have her weapon out, but Kris
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Do you think this? Yeah, I think this is probably. I don't know. This might also probably be early on.
Yeah,
Or it
I
might.
think
I
this
feel
is
like.
also probably also part of the intro sequence. This is probably the
Yeah.
final part of the intro sequence, like right
Yeah,
before it ends.
Though I feel like there's a higher chance this one might be later, but it could also be early on.
Yeah.
Okay.
And once again, like the platforms are stained glass reminiscent, so
Yeah.
this really does bring the connection. Like the entire chapter is gonna have stained glass if that's the beginning.
Yeah. Stained glass could be like a major idea of the first area,
Like a
or it could be a
motive.
thing that is across the entire
If
Dark World.
Jockington grows a beard is the final area, the floor looks like stained glass.
Yeah, that's another thing about that image. I have a lot to say on that image when we do eventually get to it.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll
Yeah.
get there. Is there anything else we have to say about Chapter 4 is waiting?
I don't think so.
No,
All
Yeah,
right.
the Black
specifically.
Orb guys are weird, and I don't know what's meant to be going on with them. Maybe they're like minions of the actual main boss. I doubt that they are meant to be like the main
Minions.
threat.
Yeah.
Probably just
We'll
like
figure out-
a lesser army, yeah.
Or maybe it's
Yeah, we'll
literally
figure
like
out
an
what kind-
attack by the main boss, and they're not
Oh,
even
yeah.
sentient. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what kind of objects they are in the light
Mhm.
world when the game comes.
Like they could just
But
be a
now
magic
finally-
thing. You know?
Yeah. But now Deltarune is waiting. That's the final part of the trailer.
With the angel.
With the
Yes.
animation.
Yes,
Yeah.
the Temi animation of the angel.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, I'll say that this kind of, in my eyes, confirms Angel final boss. So get out of there, Titan final boss believers. Move over.
Or the Knight final boss.
To
Yeah.
be fair,
Kris is here too, so Kris is the final boss still, technically.
Yeah.
To be
Okay,
fair,
yeah. But
Hmm.
go on.
the angel has like the save point face that the Titans
Like
have.
the Titans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
the-
so
Well,
when the trailer first dropped, I made that connection without realizing there's wings. So I was like arguing for it to be the Titan, but
Yeah,
no. I
yeah.
think that's just a motive that's gonna appear more. The save point eyes.
it seems to me that it's just kind of meant to be a big blinding light. And while though the shining light is definitely shaped like the save point star, it might not necessarily meant to be literally the save point star. It's meant to just be like visually like connect to
I
it.
see.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because the save points, they're connected to like determination and power, and that's all the stuff that the angel's connected with. Of course, with light and white, the light that only you can see is connected to the player angel, but also connected to the angel in general, and all that stuff.
If there's one thing that someone pointed out, and it's that like the heart in the Deltarune logo is like centered
Dead center,
with where centered with where the angel is. And as we know, we are controlling the heart. And so this kind of plays into like angel player theory.
Yes, you could definitely look
But
at
it also plays. It also
though
plays
I've seen
into,
some.
Yeah.
I've seen some. Apparently, some people are discussing like the angel being like entity, like a god that has always like been there in the Deltarune world. Apparently, apparently people are still discussing this after that, even more
Yeah.
so.
which is like, I don't know. People will get hung up on like Noel Angel specifically regarding that. We're like, oh, I don't believe in Noel Angel because how is Noel gonna grow giant angel wings and be the angel? And I'm just sitting there being like, fucking video game, dude. First off, it's a video game. Second off,
But,
have you ever met Jesus Christ? He was just a guy too, and he was literally God. So your argument is instantly invalidated.
I don't think I've ever met.
But also, like, there
Jesus,
is.
but-
I mean, like, the player and Astral were like there were multiple angels in
Yeah.
Undertale,
That's
so it can easily happen
Yeah.
again.
yeah.
It could, especially if we talk about the Holy Trinity, which I think Chestnut
Yeah.
does talk about in the
Yes,
Noel is
that was a cool idea.
Jesus
Yep.
video, which I think is Chestnut's actual signature theory at this point, not Chris Knight
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah.
That's just what.
We'll see.
But Chestnut is the Chris Knight guy, but I
Yeah.
think the Noel is
Just the
Jesus is kind of
surreality
like
of this
the-
video.
Yeah.
the real signature.
Yeah. That theory is interesting because like that's a fairly old theory. I came up with it. I say I came up with it. I really didn't. I just stole it from a piece of fan art that I saw depicting the theory.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
don't we all do that? Don't
Yeah.
we all steal
Well,
theories?
you used it. You
from
used
fan art?
it. You used it as like a springing board, right? To
Yeah.
jump off from.
Well, what it was I
Um,
saw somebody repost that piece of fan art of Noel taking the soul and then becoming the angel and becoming the final boss. I saw that
Mhm.
fan art and I looked at it and I'm like, oh shit, that's the fucking ending. That's what we're doing.
It would.
you
like,
had one
it
of
would
those
be so
moments
awesome.
from.
Yeah, it like
You had one of those
triggered
like
my
Yakuza moments.
yeah, it triggered
That's
my
what-
BBC Sherlock Mind Palace to
Yeah,
activate.
That again.
No.
Ron,
And
Put it
then
on
in
screen
that
again.
moment,
Put it
I
on screen
instantly
again.
put all the pieces together and instantly figured out. I'm like, oh shit, they got it right. That is the ending. We are doing that. Noel is gonna take the soul and become the angel. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what we're
Yeah,
doing.
So not
Also,
the player,
shout out.
not the player.
What were you
You're
gonna
gonna think
say?
it's gonna be like between. Okay, so some people think it's gonna be like, oh, you're the player fighting the main characters.
What
Like
if
some
it's
people think
okay? Here's one. What if it's a body mind soul thing, where like Noel is the body and then the soul is the soul, and then
oh, okay.
like
yeah,
we are the
okay.
mind
Yeah,
because we're the one making decisions for Chris.
This
So, like,
is
the
so
Holy
far
Trinity.
out. This
Yeah.
is so
Yeah, Holy
far
Trinity.
out in the narrative. It's so far out in the narrative. It's like stuff I don't really want to talk about. I don't know if how I can talk about it.
Yeah, we're just spitballing at this point, you know.
yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
we're looking
We're-
at a picture of the angel being animated as the final confrontation of Deltarune. You know, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, Noel
Yeah,
did
it's
say
not
she's
really just the
gonna
penultimate-
grow big angel wings. You know.
Right, so she could be the body.
Yeah.
She is the avatar for
Yeah.
no, not avatar as in the
Jesus.
last airbender, but she is the avatar for the angel, the mortal
No,
avatar.
Avatar, as in the Blue People film.
Oh, yes,
Avatar as in
she-
the Bender guy.
There's
Yeah.
already there are already multiple blue people in Deltarune. King, Queen,
Yeah.
Kris,
True.
Birdly.
Birdly, yeah.
What were you gonna say, Dante?
I genuinely forgot what I was going to say now.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's good. Also, shout out to Rousey for just keeping his hands behind his back while this giant monster is like
Oh
about
my
to like
god.
fight them. Like Rousey just everyone else.
True.
Everyone else
It's
is
so
ready
funny.
to throw hands, and Rousey's just
Rousey
like,
is so
I'm gonna keep
polite.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
keep my hands behind my back. I don't know what else I'm gonna do here. Like,
Yeah.
Like,
Also, I
come on.
also wanted to
Sure.
bring up the sepia tone of this. You know how it's like the same sepia as the legend. It's very cool. It is reminiscent of the roaring, especially, right?
Yeah.
Like with it's a final confrontation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
Um,
about like
the
it
final
being
bit.
the angel.
Yeah, because the final thing
Huh?
is animated by Temmie. It's only for the trailer. It's been confirmed by
Yeah.
Kobe on Twitter.
Mhm. Yeah. On Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm mostly just been following along with what he says on Blue Sky.
he says
Because-
more things
Because
on
Twitter
Blue Sky.
poo poo.
Yeah.
He says more-
poo poo.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
he clearly wants to bring the discussion to Blue Sky, which is why he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very
more
negative towards
there.
Twitter.
Yeah,
But
I
like he
wonder
also
why.
acknowledges, but he also acknowledges that like Twitter is unfortunately still like an important marketing machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fortunately. Though, okay. In regards to this last part, it's the angel and like not the knight, like
Mhm.
like mentioned before. And there's one thing that we haven't mentioned yet, and it's that this trailer uses the old like music for like an idea
Yes.
for like
Oh
an
yeah, the
intro.
intro.
Yes,
For that
the
was gonna be in
scrapped
Deltarune.
intro sequence. It reuses
Yeah.
the music. It's a new arrangement
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, it was never even scrapped because it was never even made. It was only imagined. He only made like the music
yeah. The
Yes.
music
and
itself
like
was scrapped until now.
Yeah, yeah, basically. And the sequence of events are completely different. And
Yeah,
even
yeah.
like at the end, the final, like the way Toby described it before was that, oh, it's the night at the end, and now there's no night at the end.
Yeah, clearly because that
mean,
idea has been thrown out completely and been replaced
Yeah.
with this. You know. So I
That
don't
said-
think it's
In-
fair to like say, oh well, this means something. No, it doesn't. It means that the old intro idea has not seen the light of day. It was scrapped completely, and he wanted to reuse the
it was
music.
scrapped completely.
Yeah.
But I do have something to say to it because it kind of continues on with the idea that I was thrown out. Because my beliefs are basically that the night is really just a presence. It's not really one individual. Anyone that makes a fountain is the night of that dark world. And like this old intro, it was like early on, but whatever. But it basically does the opposite. It individualizes the night.
Yes.
But here there is no night. It kind of makes it more of a presence.
Well, there is a knife.
No
Chris is right
individuality.
there.
Yeah, Chris is right there. But you know, I think it's Kris, Susie, and Noel, obviously.
Yeah. See, I don't
Mhm.
even disagree with your theory. I kind of just disagree with how you choose to word it.
To name it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
Sorry.
yeah, no. I
Yeah.
think Chris Susel is kind of a misnomer because
It's nowhere.
your theory starts off just like Chestnuts, where you believe that Chris is the knight, and then you also say, in addition, Susie and Noel will make a fountain at some point as well, each, and that's a reasonable thing to say. But I don't know if I would call it Chris Susel Night. You know,
Yeah,
that's just
It's a
Chris
funny
Knight
name.
featuring.
it is a funny name, but it's also like the
Yeah.
first time
It's
you hear it, it's gonna confuse people until you explain it to them.
Yeah.
You know, because
I
it
know,
makes them
I should've
think
made
that
it.
it's like Chris, Susie, and Noel are all in love scheme together, but Ralsei isn't on it, and so it's just like,
Yeah, you make
It's kind of
you can make a
Yeah.
70s rock band name out of it, like Chris and the Knights. You know, like
yeah,
yeah. But yeah, basically the removal of the night at the end makes it more of a presence, and it's if my theory is true, then that was considered here.
to a point. I think the
Fair
intro
enough.
sequence just at this point is not viable. Like it wouldn't be
Yeah, it's
viable
not gonna- it's-
until the full game.
I don't
is
think
out.
it's ever going to show up. I don't think
No.
it's ever going to show
I
up.
think
I
it,
don't.
no,
Like at all.
no,
I
I
think so.
disagree.
Where would Gaster put gas? It's like everything in this game is pretty much diegetic in a way, except
Okay,
maybe
so-
like the credits. I don't know about the credits, but
I
like
mean, it
Gaster
could be
Gaster
like
talks.
a thing he makes on the side that doesn't go into the game itself.
Yeah, maybe, but like Gaster talks to you with like the save files and such, and when you get a game over and such, where would Gaster put this intro sequence? How
Yeah,
can he like?
that
how can you
that
do
is a
that
good
with the
point. It's not
characters?
going to appear in game
Yeah.
because it's not diegetic enough. The only thing so far that
Yeah.
seems to be not diegetic is the credits sequence. You know,
Yeah.
so
If you compare,
yeah, that is a
it
really
with
good point.
Undertale, like Undertale, there are some elements that weren't really considered when like making stuff diegetic, and you can see like Toby is like going more out there with Deltarune.
Yeah.
I've noticed that.
So yeah,
Like,
I agree. Yeah.
Like the main menu and and naming screen or what a screen in Undertale, is that diegetic? Like Toriel and Sans and other characters can show up there. How
I don't
are they
know.
showing up? But yeah.
Well, see, the way I think about the animated intro sequence is nothing is really stopping Toby from making one. Like he said in the original, like he has already commissioned multiple animated music videos at this point, and so it's like not far fetched to imagine him commissioning a full one for the final game release, and then using that for like promotional material.
Yeah. If we do see that, that'll be how it's done.
Yeah, promotional
Yeah, probably.
material. Not in
Yeah.
the game.
Yes.
No,
Yeah, especially since it's also like a huge spoiler. It's like it spoils the
Yeah.
designs for all of the chapter bosses and spoils the Kris
Yeah.
Knight, twist kind of.
Kinda. Yeah.
With context, it does. I'd say. Without out of
Yeah.
context, it's just kind of teases it.
But I mean, you already see Kris do weird stuff at the end of chapter 1, so it's not really like.
I'd say if that intro existed, it would be a bit easier to figure out that Kris is the knight before the chapter 2 reveal. I would say, but also it's like it doesn't matter that much because it wasn't that
sisters.
important. Anyway, is there anything else we want to say on the animated part?
No, I think I hope I made my point clear about my theory and or the scrapped opening music being used there in regards to my theory or whatever. I hope I made my
Yeah.
points clear there. I don't know if I did.
honestly
Yeah.
don't think it matters that much, to be completely honest.
I think I'm terrible at communicating.
I think what you were
points.
trying to say is that originally the idea that Toby had for the opening, where the knight would have been atop of the staircase, would have demonstrated that Kris and Kris alone, or the knight and the knight alone, is the only person with that title. Whereas at the end of this trailer, where we see the angel type of entity, it makes you believe that if the story that Toby had planned around that original intro is still the same one that we have now, it is evidence for your theory that Kris plus Susie plus Noelle end up being the knight because it's no longer a singular entity at the top of the staircase, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
All right.
The thing for
Then
me,
move on.
no, the thing for me about your theory, right? The biggest thing I disagree on is the idea that they're all going to be called the knight. See, I agree that they're all going to make a fountain. I disagree that they're going to be called the knight. I think Kris is going to be the knight, and then Susie is going to get a completely different title. Noelle's going to be a completely different title, and then Susie maybe is the knight, and maybe it won't even matter.
Isn't Susie called the Dark Knight in one of the chapters?
That's one of
chapter
her
2, the
titles,
title.
yes.
Yeah.
Is a Dark Knight.
We'll see.
But I just
don't know,
cannot
it's
envision a world where Noelle makes a fountain, and then all of the Darkners refer to her as the knight. Like, that's not happening, because she's not a knight, But she's also clearly going to be making at least one fountain later in the game,
What if? Well, no, we'll save it for the theory section.
Yeah, let's save it for the sphere.
We can have like a crack theories. We can have like a rapid fire crack theory section.
But
So
yeah,
later.
Is there anything we want to say? Is there anything left now?
No, I think that's the last bit of the trailer, other than like the title.
The
card.
final part is it's saying that it releases on launch day on the Nintendo Switch 2.
Yep, that's it.
Which is June 15th. The same day the new season of Phineas and Ferb releases. I have something I need to pick.
I'm salty. I'm salty that it comes out on a Thursday when I'm working. I'm really salty about that one.
I think school is pretty much done for me. Maybe like one exam or something.
I lucked out in that
It's like band exam.
Oh.
That's the end of part 2. Please move on to part 3.